Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and this is what I call my morning musings. Well, here in southern Oklahoma, as I came into the office this morning, we're getting our very first snow of the year. I don't like cold weather. I don't like snow. But anyway, we're getting a little bit of snow, so I'm here in my warm office enjoying a good cup of coffee, and I appreciate you being with me. I've been sharing with you my journey to the full preterist view of eschatology. Now, I'm going to continue to do that, obviously, but one of the viewers has asked me to comment on Isaiah chapter 2, in which it says that in the last days and the establishment of the kingdom, it says they shall learn war no more. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, etc., etc. And if that's true, and if all prophecy has been fulfilled, then how do we explain that verse? Well, first of all, I think we have to understand the temporal context. Number one, it would be done in the last days. Now, the last days, biblically speaking, is always, I say always, in 99.9% of the cases, is a reference to the last days of Israel. It has nothing to do with the Christian age. In my book, The Last Days Identified, for instance, I examine every single major passage in the Bible that uses the last day term, the last days, and I show that it had a reference to Israel's last days. It's not a reference to the Christian age. Specifically, and I love Deuteronomy chapter 32, we are told that it's a prophecy about Israel's latter end, her last end. And virtually all of the biblical prophecies from there of the last days is built on Deuteronomy 32. But be that as it may, that's point number one. So here we find a framework for the fulfillment of Isaiah chapter 2. Secondly, we have to honor and we have to note the contrast in the nature of the kingdoms. You see, the kingdom of Israel, the 12 tribes, was a kingdom that was socio-economic, military, and political. It was a kingdom that was sustained through armies, through warfare. They couldn't beat their swords into plowshares because of all the enemies round about. But you see, Daniel said, Daniel 2:44, and Daniel 7 agrees, that in the days of the Roman Empire, God was going to establish a kingdom that was going to be totally different, radically different. It would be a kingdom not made with hands, in contrast to the other kingdoms of the world. Now, the contrast in the text is a contrast between Babylon, Medo-Persian, Greece, and Rome. Those are kingdoms that were based upon, sustained, and spread by swords, warfare. But God said the time was coming in which He would establish a kingdom that would be radically different. Jesus, when He was standing on trial in front of Pilate, was asked, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And Jesus said, "I am," but to paraphrase, obviously, Jesus said, "If I was the kind of king you're concerned about, then my servants would fight. But my kingdom is not of this world." In other words, here is Jesus very clearly giving us a contrast between the Old Covenant world of Israel. And by the way, what happened to Israel? Israel took up the sword and was destroyed. Just like Jesus told Peter in the garden, "You put up your sword, Peter," because Peter wanted to defend Jesus with the sword. He wanted to defend, quote, the kingdom with the sword. And Jesus said, whoever lives by the sword is going to die by the sword. So yes, Jesus is contrasting His kingdom with all of the other kingdoms of the world. All of the other kingdoms of the world were built upon the power of the sword. They were built upon defending the kingdom with the power of the sword. They were based upon and dependent upon spreading their borders by the power of the sword. And Jesus said, as Isaiah did, that the kingdom of God to be established in the last days would not be a kingdom based upon defense by the edge of the sword or spreading through the power of the edge of the sword. It's a contrast in the nature of the kingdom. And obviously, that has been fulfilled. Well, hey, I'll get back to sharing with you my journey to the full preterist view in upcoming sessions. Thanks so much for joining me on this morning's Morning Musings. By the way, get yourself a copy of my book, The Last Days Identified. Remember, from now until Christmas, you get 25% off. Fantastic deal. So take advantage of it. Go to my website, www.eschatology.org or www.bibleprophecy.com. Take advantage of the offer. Get yourself a copy of The Last Days Identified. Thanks again for joining me. We'll see you on the flip side.